May 18, 1976, Malibu, California. Robert Redford paces his beachfront home like a caged animal, clutching a ransom note that demands $2 million for his 12-year-old son Scott's safe return. The FBI has been called, but their standard procedures feel maddeningly slow when every minute could be your child's last. The night John Wayne saved Robert Redford's son, 20 miles away, John Wayne is reading the same script for the third time, trying to find something worth saying yes to in a career that's running out of meaningful roles. Neither man knows that in 8 hours, Wayne will be leading a military precision rescue operation that will save a child's life and prove that sometimes the best heroes are the ones who never stopped believing in doing what's right. This is the story of the night America's sweetheart met America's toughest cowboy, and how both men learned that real courage isn't about facing down outlaws on screen. It's about facing down real evil for someone who can't protect themselves. Robert Redford had everything a man could want in 1976. His movies were box office gold. His face was on every magazine cover, and his Utah ranch provided escape from the Hollywood machine that had made him famous. But none of that mattered when he got the phone call that every parent fears most. "Mr. Redford, we have your son. If you want to see him alive again, you'll follow our instructions exactly." Scott Redford had been walking home from tennis practice at his exclusive private school when two men in a van convinced him to get in their vehicle. The 12-year-old, trusting in the way children from good families tend to be, thought they were offering him a ride home. Instead, they drove him to a cabin in the San Bernardino Mountains, where Scott now sat tied to a chair, confused and terrified but trying to be brave, the way his father's movie characters always were. The kidnappers weren't sophisticated criminals. They were ex-convicts who'd read about Redford's wealth in the tabloids and figured a movie star would be an easy mark. What they lacked in planning, they made up for in desperation and willingness to hurt a child if their demands weren't met. Redford had immediately contacted the FBI, but their response was exactly what the kidnappers had predicted. Methodical, bureaucratic, and focused more on catching the criminals than rescuing the victim. Special Agent Coleman explained they would monitor phone calls, analyze the ransom note for fingerprints, and coordinate with local law enforcement. "What about my son?" Redford asked. $2 million in unmarked bills. The voice on the phone continued. "No police, no FBI, no rescue attempts. You have 72 hours. We'll call with delivery instructions." But time was the one thing Redford felt he didn't have. Every hour Scott remained with those men was an hour too long, and every procedural delay felt like abandoning his child to monsters who saw him as nothing more than a payday. That's when Redford made a decision that would change his life. He called John Wayne. "Mr. Redford, these things take time. We have procedures that maximize the chance of a safe recovery." They'd met only once, at a Hollywood charity function where Wayne had impressed Redford, not with star power or stories, but with his quiet questions about Redford's family and genuine interest in hearing about Scott's Little League games. Most actors talked about themselves endlessly, but Wayne had wanted to know about Redford's kids. "Duke, it's Bob Redford. I need help. The kind you can't get from the government." Wayne's voice immediately sharpened. "What kind of help?" Wayne was silent for a long moment. "How long has he been gone?" "Someone has my son. They want $2 million, and the FBI wants to take their time while my boy sits with killers. 18 hours? Stay there. Don't talk to anyone else until I get there." "And Bob?" "My house in Malibu." "Where are you right now?" "Yeah, we're going to bring your boy home." Wayne arrived at Redford's house 45 minutes later, accompanied by two men Redford didn't recognize but who carried themselves like soldiers. Mickey Sullivan, Wayne's longtime security consultant and former Marine intelligence officer, and Jack Crawford, an ex-Army Ranger who specialized in what he called problem-solving. Wayne studied the ransom note, listened to the recorded phone call, and asked questions that revealed a tactical mind that most people never saw behind the movie star image. "The FBI said," Redford began, "the cabin they're probably using, it'll be isolated, defensible, with multiple escape routes," Wayne said, spreading a map of the San Bernardino Mountains across Redford's dining table. "These aren't professionals, which makes them more dangerous. Professionals want to get paid and disappear. Amateurs panic and do stupid things. Tommy Marconi and Ray Kowalski, Sullivan reported. Both did time for armed robbery. Both got out 6 months ago. Both have nothing to lose and everything to gain. Mickey Sullivan had been quietly making phone calls in Redford's kitchen. He returned with information that chilled everyone in the room. The FBI wants to catch bad guys. Wayne interrupted. I want to save your son. Sometimes those are different objectives. Wayne's smile was grim. 20 years in this town. You get to know people the FBI doesn't know exist. People who hear things, see things, remember things. How did you find that out so fast? Redford asked. Crawford had been studying aerial photographs of the mountain area. If I was holding a kid for ransom, I'd want somewhere isolated enough to avoid accidental discovery, but accessible enough for a quick escape. That narrows it down to maybe a dozen locations. What Wayne proposed was audacious. Instead of waiting for the kidnappers to make contact, they would take the initiative. Using Sullivan's network of contacts and Crawford's tactical experience, they would identify every possible hideout location and systematically clear them until they found Scott. How do we find the right one? Redford asked. We don't, Wayne said. We find all of them, and we hit them simultaneously. That's insane, Redford said. What if we guess wrong? What if they kill him? Wayne looked Redford in the eye with the same intensity he'd brought to 100 movie showdowns. Bob, your son has been with those men for 18 hours. Every hour we wait increases the chance they'll panic and do something we can't undo. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking any risk at all. Using a combination of satellite imagery, local contacts, and educated guesswork, they'd identified 8 possible locations where the kidnappers might be holding Scott. The plan was simple in concept but complex in execution. Simultaneous reconnaissance of all 8 sites, followed by coordinated rescue attempts once Scott's location was confirmed. Before we continue, let me ask you something. Would you trust a stranger to risk everything to save someone you love? Drop your thoughts in the comments. By sunset on May 19th, Wayne had assembled a team that would have impressed any military commander. In addition to Sullivan and Crawford, he'd recruited 4 other ex-military specialists, each with skills ranging from mountain warfare to electronic surveillance. Bob, I know you want to help, but you're not trained for this. The best thing you can do for Scott is let professionals handle the rescue while you handle the ransom call. This isn't a movie, gentlemen, Wayne addressed the team gathered in Redford's living room. This is a 12-year-old boy's life. We go in quiet, we go in smart, and we bring him home to his father. Redford wanted to be part of the operation, but Wayne vetoed that immediately. I feel useless just sitting here. You're not useless. You're being a smart father who knows when to trust other people to do what they do best. At 10 p.m. on May 19th, Wayne's team deployed across the San Bernardino Mountains. Each 2-man unit had a specific target and strict orders. Locate, observe, report. No heroics, no cowboy nonsense, just professional reconnaissance. Crawford and Sullivan took the most likely target. A hunting cabin, 30 miles from the nearest paved road, accessible only by a dirt track that wound through dense forest. If Redford were holding a kidnap victim, this is where Crawford would choose. Duke, Rodriguez said, as they hiked through darkness toward their objective. You know there's a good chance we don't find the kid tonight, right? Wayne paired himself with Tommy Rodriguez, a Vietnam veteran who owed Wayne a favor from years earlier. Their target was a Paimon ranger station that offered commanding views of the surrounding area and multiple escape routes. Why? You barely know Redford. Then we look tomorrow night, and the night after that, and every night, until we do find him. Wayne paused in his climbing to look at Rodriguez. Tommy, how many kids do you have? Rodriguez thought about it. I'd call you. 3. If someone took one of your kids, who would you call for help? At 11:45 p.m., Crawford's voice crackled over the radio. Base, this is Charlie Team. We've got eyes on target. 2 subjects, 1 vehicle. Lights in cabin. Preparing for closer observation. Then you understand why we're here. Wayne keyed his radio. All teams, maintain position. Charlie Team has possible contact. Base, this is Charlie Team. Package confirmed. Two tangos, both armed. Package appears unharmed but restrained. For the next 30 minutes, Crawford and Sullivan moved through the forest like ghosts, getting close enough to confirm what they'd hoped and feared. Scott Redford was inside the cabin, tied to a chair, guarded by two men who looked exactly like the mugshots they'd studied. Wayne felt a mixture of relief and cold rage. Relief that they'd found Scott alive. Rage at the sight of a child tied up by men who saw him as merchandise. At Wayne's signal, they struck simultaneously. Crawford kicked in the front door while Rodriguez came through a window. The kidnappers, expecting to spend another quiet night counting their anticipated fortune, found themselves facing trained men who moved with lethal purpose. All teams converge on Charlie location. This is not a drill. The rescue operation unfolded with military precision. While Wayne and Rodriguez approached from the east, two other teams moved to cover the cabin's rear exit and access road. Crawford and Sullivan positioned themselves for the frontal assault.